podcast. I, of course, am Tommy Bolden, and joining me tonight, other than Taylor Salen, is a very good friend of ours who we've been trying to get on for a while, Kurt Hall. How are you two gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm good.
Doing great. How about yourself?
Excellent.
Awesome.
Hanging in there, as usual. So, tonight we kind of had so much fun doing the horrible movies that we were going to discuss Rob Zombie, but I think we're going to stick to horrible movies for a little bit and then go from wherever else from there. So, hope everybody enjoys. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and let Taylor take it away.
Alrighty. So we kind of talked about some movies, but there's still some that I didn't really get to that I wanted us to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and start things off here with the beloved 1999 remake of The Mummy. What do you guys think about this movie?
That's kind of weird. It's kind of a strange question because I could find a lot that I could like about it, but at the same time, there was so much that I didn't like about it. So it's kind of a back and forth battle with me because I saw it when I was a kid. So, I thought it was really awesome, but I felt like the acting was really silly. Just really silly. Like, the story seemed really silly as well. They totally revamped it from the original. The original was supposed to be this terrifying, horror movie, and which I've seen. But the new one just kind of turned into this silly action comedy. So, I don't know. I'm not big on Brandon Fraser, so, if I had to give it a scale rating, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, just because there was enough there to keep me interested. So that's how I felt.
I actually didn't hate the first Mummy movie. Like, I actually kind of liked it for being a really schlocky action horror movie, but it just feels so bad at being a horror movie that I think that's why it gets so much hate. But I actually thought the visual effects were really good in it. For the most part. But yeah, any movie with Brendan Fraser, you can pretty much pass on watching. But I will say this. If we're gonna talk about how bad The Mummy is, I would rather just talk about how bad the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor is, the third movie. That movie is so bad. It's so bad that I don't even know how The Rock has an acting career after that. Like,
the Dragon Emperor?
You mean Mummy Returns?
The Scorpion King. The Mummy Returns.
No.
The Dragon Emperor had Jet Li in it, or
okay,
one of those Asian guys.
My bad. I meant
You're
Jet
talking about
Li,
the second one.
Yeah, I guess I get the Scorpion King and Jet. Yeah, that. Either way, it's just awful. Like
I didn't like that third one at all.
It's so bad. Even the cockroach CGI stuff looks so terrible. It was just bad. Just a bad movie.
Yeah. Oh man. I thought the third one was really funny because, like, here in town, and I've referred to this a few times. Before we had the guy who was doing the movie reviews that does them now, he's been here for a while, we had a woman who was doing them, and she messed up on the actual review of the Dragon Emperor movie, and she said that the complete original cast was back, and, like, when I saw the movie on DVD, I thought it was really funny, because she totally messed that up. That was a fail of monumental proportions on her behalf. Oh, boy.
That, or it just reminds her how unmemorable the movie was.
Yeah, that could be it, too, because I don't even remember it, and I watched it twice. I watched it once because I just wasn't paying attention, and the other time I just watched just because... Go ahead, Kurt, you good?
Oh, sorry. That would go along with why I probably thought The Rock was in it, because I probably forgot it for so long. I was like, oh, it's some big muscular guy. The Rock, okay.
Yeah. Oh, man. What about you, Taylor? How are your thoughts on the Mummy franchise overall in general?
Well, I have to start off by saying I have a lot of nostalgia for these movies, especially the first two, because they're kind of movies I watched as a kid. I think those movies are really geared towards kids, so it's kind of one of those things that it just appealed
Yeah.
to me. Um, but with that being said, I don't think it holds up. When I revisited, I think I bought the original on Blu-ray maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and
Yeah.
I rewatched it, and it didn't really hold up. Even the visual effects have gotten worse, but I mean, for their time, they were pretty revolutionary. So I have to give the movie credit for at least that. As far
It's
as
kind of going back to what we said the other night with Lost in Space. Is like for that time period, the special effects were like, oh man, this is really good. But I don't know.
I really, on that note, I kind of want to say this. I think the only movie from the 60s actually holds up visually today is like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, I could still see that movie looking like that now, being released now. Which just kind of speaks to how good Stanley Kubrick is.
Yeah, he's really phenomenal.
He's my favorite director of all time, so that's all I'm gonna say. Because I could talk. I don't want to go on 2001 because that movie could.
Yeah.
I could talk about that movie forever.
It took me a couple times to watch it, to be honest with you. So, but I appreciate it.
It's definitely a 2 or 3 watch movie.
Yeah, and it's one of those where you can't really watch it the first time and be judgmental about it. You just have to like say, okay, let me do it again, because it's worth a second look, just because the visuals, like you were saying, were just so phenomenal from the beginning to end. I mean, even if you don't really care for the story, you can really appreciate the visual effects and everything that he really had to work with as well. So that, it's really impressive.
Note,
I do agree.
I do want to mention that movie. Actually, you have to remember that movie came out before we had landed on the moon. And to watch that movie in hindsight, after we've seen the pictures and the video from that moon landing, it's kind of incredible how accurate. I mean, it's not 100% accurate, but they were pretty darn close. So that's one of those things that kind of just awes me every time I see it. Like, and I mean, even things like we're doing right now, video conferencing. They had things like, of course they're rudimentary, but they had things like that going on in the movie, which I really loved. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, I mean, you can also argue too that the theory that Kubrick actually directed the moon landing kind of has merit because of those moon sequences in 2001 and how visually beautiful it is. So, like, I don't buy into that theory, but I can kind of, they can sell it on me a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Taylor, you saying that Stanley Kubrick is your, all-time favorite director. Here's something, and I'll get a little bit of flack for this. I really love The Shining, okay? I do. I appreciate it for the movie that it is. But at the same time, I hate The Shining. Like, I do. Well, it's not because of the direction. It is in no way, shape, or form because of the direction or any visual things that he done with the movie. It's not because of any of that. I thought it was well acted, well developed, everything all the way around. The problem that I really had with it was like he totally just took the book and just threw it in the garbage can and was like, I'll do whatever I want to do. And there's this really cool video that I saw on Stephen King, and he was talking about his books that had been made into movies and how he felt about them. And he said that he was sitting at home one night and he was typing away his next story, and his phone rang. And he stopped what he was doing and he picks up the phone and he's like, hello? And Stanley Kubrick calls him. This is a true story. Stanley Kubrick's like, hey, Steven, Stanley Kubrick, how do you feel about me directing and writing and all this stuff for The Shining? He's like, well, I really don't have a problem with you, doing anything with my movie. That being said, he goes, okay, he says, well, he's like, well, how about that motel? In the book you had it on fire. He's like, I'd like to have it freezing. He's like, Oh, well, that's fine. You do whatever whatever you deem necessary. He basically gave him permission to do whatever he wanted to. And then there was one thing that he said. He was like, well, Stephen, he says, there was one part I really wanted to do, and that was I wanted the spirits to inhabit the motel. And he goes, 'cause what's worse than dying other than being trapped in this spirit world for the rest of your life, being tormented, And, Stephen King's like, well, how about going to hell? And like he said, there was this long pause on the end of the phone, like and Stanley Kubrick was like, well, Stephen, I don't believe in hell. And Stephen King's like, well, I do. Click, and that was the end of the conversation. So,
Oh wow.
Yeah, you really have to look that up. It's really phenomenal interview. But
Yeah.
moving on. Sorry, I got off on a rabbit trail.
I wanted to say I agree that the fact that he took the Shining story and just kind of threw it all away and did his own movie was kind of disgraceful. Even for a great filmmaker like Kubrick to do that, I really hate that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I can understand your guys' points, but at the same time, I have to rebut because the thing with making a movie is that, especially adapting a movie from a novel, is that movies can never live up to the detail and the depth that novels go to. So in a sense, like there's some things that just won't work, filmically, like on the big screen and things like that. So I think part of Kubrick's reasoning was just to make things that would be easier for him to direct, or maybe things that would be a little less out there. Like I know that in the novel there's like spirit bushes or something, like the spirits come alive through the hedge maze or something like that. And but I have to agree on the point that that Kurt said. It is kind of the way it sounded. It did kind of sound disrespectful. And Kubrick was always one of those guys that was very stuck in his own ways. So that's something I'd completely believe. So I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where I just really don't think about it. I just kind of marvel at the beauty, the visual elements of that movie. I mean, some of the stuff he did. I mean, you guys should know this too, but this was like the first movie to use Steadicam, and that's one of the things I loved about Kubrick was that he was always pushing technology forward, and he's always inventing and trying new things. And every one of his movies, there's something going on that's technologically relevant and pushing the film as a medium forward. But that was a huge tangent. So with that being said, go ahead.
One little thing. Sorry,
Yeah,
one little thing.
No.
But you going on saying about he was always coming up with different things, and there was one particular scene in the movie, and I don't think a lot of people are so caught up in the terror and everything of what's going on in the movie that they don't recognize it. But there's one particular thing that he did in the movie that I really enjoyed, and there was a part where he cut the music when the little kid's on the bike and he's pedaling through the hallways, and he's on the hardwood floor, and then he's over the carpet, and then he's on the hardwood floor, and he's over the carpet. It was very obscure, but at the same time, for some reason, that scene to me really holds up. It's really one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I think because he did a really good job of capturing
the funny thing
sound,
about that real quick is that they were actually filming that scene, and they had intended to ADR the music and replace all the sounds afterwards. And as they were starting, the sound they got was that sound that you see in the movie, and Kubrick liked it so much that he decided to keep it in the movie. So that was one example of things that just happens on set. It's just like impromptu type of thing. But I have to agree, that scene's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's really awesome.
I think there are a lot of really amazing scenes in that movie. Like, I just love everything about the twins. They're so terrifying, and they come out of nowhere all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that the scene that always will stick out for me is the blood coming out of the elevator, because it doesn't really make sense in the movie. But you can use that for anything, and it's probably the most original shot that I can think of in a horror movie.
Yeah, and
there were so many characters alike.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really great, and the chairs are all everything's getting washed away. One of the favorite characters in the story is actually the guy who used to be the caretaker. You know, and he's talking about how he corrected his wife and, you know, he corrected his children when they all got out of line. And I always thought that was a really good scene, too.
Mhm.
And he was like, weren't you the caretaker? He's like, no, sir, you've always been the caretaker. And that was really something that Kubrick had from the novel that I thought was pretty important to the story. But anyways, we need to move on. So,
Yeah, this is supposed to be on bad movies.
What's next? Yeah. Totally got off.
So let's talk about one of my personal worst films I've ever seen, the cinematic milestone known as M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. Let's talk about this movie. Kurt, what are your thoughts on this?
God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I can't even describe in words how bad The Happening is. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that they came up with a plot for a movie in which the plants are trying to kill the humans, like, really, how do you sell that to a studio? Be like, hey, guys, I got a movie for you. The enemy is going to be the plants. And honestly, like, the only scene I like in that whole freaking movie, the only scene is the scene
wait a minute,
where...
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
I want to give a guess. Is it the scene where the guy gets torn up by the lions? Because that's my favorite scene.
No. My favorite scene in the whole movie, Mark Wahlberg talking to a fake plant. Like, oh, you're causing all this. Like, really? You put that in a script, guys? Come on. I like you, M. Night. I like you, but you suck right now.
I thought the whole thing was just so. I thought it was like a big joke. Like, it was like the way they marketed the movie. It was supposed to be this terrifying experience, and after I watched it. Does anybody remember the show What's Happening? Yeah, does anybody remember that?
No.
Because that's what I. Okay, well, look it up later. Because that's what I started calling it. Because it was like a bad episode of What's Happening. Like it just, man. Like I knew that I couldn't take the movie seriously anymore after they showed that guy getting his arms ripped off by lions. Like after that, it was over.
On the marketing side, too, I want to throw this out. I don't know if you remember the trailer for The Happening, but the big thing was, this is M. Night Shyamalan's first R-rated movie. There's nothing R-rated about this movie.
R-rated about it. No.
Exactly.
Like, that was the selling point, was that he was crossing this boundary, and he had Mark Wahlberg, and he was supposed to have this really big budget, and boy, did he turn out a gem. He turned out a diamond in the rough.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, with that being said,
almighty.
I think the biggest mistake a movie like The Happening makes is I know, I'm trying to be serious here, okay? I'm trying to be serious, but no, but
There's no being serious.
Oh my gosh! No, but I think
there's no way you can.
Well, obviously the script is atrocious. Let's just that's obvious. But I think casting Mark Wahlberg as like an everyman, as I just don't believe Mark Wahlberg is a school teacher, and that's just like it's like the biggest no-no. You have to get your casting right, especially in what's supposed to be a horror movie. I don't know, but I think we better move on because we're just gonna keep laughing. I mean,
I got one more to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's one worse actor in that movie, and it is Zooey Deschanel, who just stares into nothingness forever. Like, there's no reason for her to be in that.
Yeah.
She was like a rabbit in headlights. She just like just this whole. I get what you're saying. The whole movie. It's like, even her line, she just seemed like she was just having this out-of-world experience. Like, she didn't even know what she was doing in this movie. Like, I don't think anybody knew what they were doing in it. I can't believe anybody actually, wanted to go and do this. Like, did they read the script? I think he casted the movie. I think he casted the movie before, and then he told everybody what he was doing, and everybody was like, oh, okay, we can do this. And then when they were already in and could not get out, then they saw what they were in. So it was too late.
I will say this, though. I think The Happening is actually a pretty amusing watch, directed by David Lynch. Just imagine that.
Yeah, I can go with that. I can definitely go with that one. Oh my goodness. What's next?
What do you guys think of what? Hey, it's only getting worse, my
he's
friend.
Already laughing.
It's only getting worse. What do you guys think about?
He's already laughing.
What do you guys think about Sucker Punch?
Oh.
I'm depressed just hearing it. Oh man. Okay. How do you take a movie and how do you take a comic book movie and adapt it in the worst way possible?
Sucker Punch?
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Sucker Punch.
That makes sense. Well, the problem with Sucker Punch is it doesn't even hit a demographic. It wants to be this cool action movie for adults, and it has all these girls in scantily clad clothing, but they never really take their clothes off. So, bam, demographic killed. And then the ending makes no sense at all. I don't understand what the ending is telling me at all. I mean,
I kind of forgot it.
If it weren't for the cool intermission scenes where they're fighting the dragon and all the action stuff, that movie would have been totally forgotten about, and a studio would never have produced it.
Yeah, well, I think Sucker Punch is one of those movies that's the perfect YouTube movie where you can watch just all the action scenes cut together and get the exact same experience as watching the movie, because the action scenes are actually really good. And the problem with this is that this was the first movie that Zack Snyder directed that he also wrote based on his original story. And it felt like when he was writing this movie, he was watching Inception on repeat, because that's really what it reminds me, a weaker version of. But I think that's the biggest mistake they made, is not getting someone else to write. And that's, hopefully we're going to talk about this here in the future sometime. But that's one of the big things why I'm so looking forward to Man of Steel, because it's going to get back to his action roots where he's focusing on character, hopefully if there is some, in performance, and getting the visual elements right,
I don't think technically if Man of Steel is a success, we can even credit Zack Snyder, because he didn't write the script.
That's true.
Right.
That's a Chris Nolan movie. It just happens to have Zack Snyder's eyes.
Yeah.
For visuals.
I think Zack Snyder is actually a decent director. I just think he needs to stay the hell away from everything else. I like Dawn of the Dead, but Go ahead, Kurt. Sorry.
He reminds me a lot of a Michael Bay. Michael Bay scripts are really bad, but his visual work is so good that I think he should just have guys. He should hire guys to write scripts for him, and he should direct the movie, because they have great visual eyes, and I love watching their movies because they're so beautiful. But God, when they write the movies, it is so bad.
Yeah, well, I have to agree too, because I was actually just thinking that we had a talk about Michael Bay on the last Bad Movies podcast, and I completely agreed with what you said. I pretty much stated it verbatim. He's good at delivering strong visual elements. He's not very good at directing performance, unfortunately, and it seems like he doesn't really care about script. He just wants something on the page. But the way I describe Michael Bay is if he was a second unit director, and I think the same goes for Zack Snyder, he would be the best second unit director ever, because he wouldn't have to focus on performance. He could focus 100% on visuals and not have to worry about anything else. But unfortunately, he wants to do the whole movie, so we get what we get. But we'll see if that. Hopefully,
it's one of those things.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, finish up.
I was just gonna say, hopefully he kind of takes a shift away from that. That's what I'm hoping with Pain and Gain. We'll see how it turns out. I know a lot of you guys on the group there, and I think Kurt, I don't know if you're looking forward to it or not, but a lot of people are really trying to seems like they're going to be staying away from it, but I don't know. I think I'm going to go check it out.
I
So.
think I'm slowly actually kind of getting into the mode where I want to watch it, because the trailer kind of is eating at me. It's like, oh, it looks bad, but I kind of want to watch it. Like, it just looks so much fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that great scene at the end of the trailer where you got Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, and The Rock's just like, I don't want to kill anybody. And he's like, it's okay, we'll go camping afterwards. I'm like, that's really funny, actually. Just this big, like, 265-pound all-muscle guy. Like, I don't want to kill people. Like, it just looks really fun.
That's funny.
All right, moving on. What do we have next?
Take a look here. Actually, let's talk about Jumper. Cause it recently came up in the group. What do you guys think about Jumper?
Skip.
Kurt, any words? Any words?
Okay. I'll say this about Jumper. I think it's a good launching point for a movie, just not for a whole film. It's like a really good short story, just not in an hour. Like, how long was that movie? Like 2 hours?
Yeah.
I think it was about an hour and 55.
It should not have been that long. It should have been like a fun little hour and 20-minute action movie, not this. They tried way too deep on the story, and the acting was rough as hell, and they really just made a clunker there.
Yeah.
I felt the concept. I felt the concept, was really good, but it was one of those movies. I've said this time and time before. It's one of those movies where you feel every minute of the runtime, and I cannot stand those movies. I don't care how good somebody tells me a movie is. If I can feel every minute of the runtime, then I can't watch it again. And this is one of those movies where I couldn't do it. Like, I forgot about it. I try to forget these movies so I don't go back and say, okay, what didn't I like about it? And then I end up getting caught in this death trap again where I'm like, oh, this is what I didn't like about it. The 2 hour every minute I feel runtime is the problem with the movie. It's just, I cannot stand that. I just hate when they just draw stuff out and it's like they squeeze every ounce of orange out of every ounce of OJ out of the orange that they possibly can until there's nothing. Yeah. And then they just crush the rest of the orange and make juice out of it too. So it's put the pill in the blender.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that, Kurt?
You pretty much described me watching the movie Les Mis.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes.
Dude, I wanted to just gouge my eyes out. I actually fell asleep in the movie theater watching Les Mis.
I had a bad experience
ever.
Dude.
Yeah, I had a bad experience. I had a bad experience with that because number one, I don't like musicals. So I'm already against it to begin with. Number two, I don't like musicals, but, I'm not going to make that my only reason. But, I thought the casting was really good. I thought the story itself was really good. But when we went and watched it, I was totally unprepared to go see it. And, it's one of those things. Some movies I have to build myself up to go see it. It's like, okay, Les Mis. I don't like musicals, but I'll go watch it. And it was something that my fiance wanted to go watch, and her whole family is big into musicals and all that. So we all went and seen it. Like, they kind of dropped it on me like a bombshell. They're like, "We're gonna go see Les Mis tonight." I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Well, thanks for warning me ahead of time." So we go. Yeah, so we go, and then, like, I was kind of upping myself. I was like, okay, well, maybe, it's Oscar nominated, I heard the performances were really well, and I can probably get over the music part because it's got a really good story. And then I got a headache just from the beginning, and I got a headache from the beginning, and then I felt when it should have came to an end, it didn't, and it just continued on, and I was like, oh my goodness, why must this continue? Why does this have to keep happening?
Yeah.
But I don't
think
know.
it's a good template to tell people, hey, if you're going to do a musical, you better have some actual fucking dialogue in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that was something else as well.
Yeah, and that was the thing for me, and I was just like, because I had heard this before the movie came out, that every piece of dialogue is sung, and while that's daunting from a filmmaking perspective, because you actually have to sing that, and you have to do 10 takes of singing the same thing for 6 days a week for 6 months or whatever it took to film the movie, and as soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, well, I was interested. Now, not so much. I don't want to go see a 2.5-hour musical where every piece of spoken word is singing. I mean, I like a good musical every now and then, but that was just a little over the top for me. I mean, even my mom, who loves musicals, I mean, she loves Rocky Horror and all that stuff. She was like, "Yeah, I don't really want to see that. I don't even know if I ever want to really watch it." I was like, so
I saw 30 minutes of it, and that's enough.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on Les Mis, so I just take it or leave it. I don't think I'm probably ever going to get around to watching it. Maybe if it's on cable or something, I'll check it out, but just not my cup of tea, I guess.
I have a fun little side note on Les Mis, too. I don't know if you heard this, but Sony did the soundtrack, like they were promoting the soundtrack for the movie. Sony hated Tom Hooper because no one bought the soundtrack because it had, like, Russell Crowe singing on it. Like, who wants to listen to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give Russell Crowe his due for going out and taking singing lessons and trying to fit the role and all that, but come on, people, like, you're about to make you know that your movie has got Oscar buzz around it before it even hits theaters, so you should know what you should be doing correctly, But let's get off of this and go to the next movie. we totally went in a totally different direction, so
it's fine. That's what we do here, man.
Yeah.
Let me take a look here. One that I think is okay. I know a lot of people didn't like it. What are your guys' thoughts on the A-Team movie?
I liked it.
You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I actually kind of feel biased watching this because a guy from my hometown directed it, Joe Carnahan. I like his movies. I think he's cool. He has a lot of fun making them. I thought the A-Team movie was fun. It wasn't substantial. There was really no need for it. But if you're really bored and you want to watch a movie for 105 minutes, it's fun.
I think I liked it. I could see where there was problems, but it was a fun movie. I didn't really want to give it any flack because it knew what kind of movie it was, and you knew what the movie was going to see it. I mean, if you don't know what the A-Team is, and then you go see it thinking it's going to be something else, then shame on you. That's your fault. And I don't think there should be really any merit against it, except for its actual movie faults. But other than that, I mean, I didn't really have an issue with the movie, and it was one of those to where I didn't feel the runtime. Everything was happening so fast and everything was so well done to me that I just enjoyed it. And plus I like Liam Neeson. So, and Bradley Cooper. I mean, I said once before that if somebody just put Liam Neeson in front of a camera reading a phone book, that it would be one of the greatest movies I've ever watched in my life. So, that's just me though.
Hey man, he's Oscar Schindler, dude. What can you say? I mean, it's like one of the greatest characters ever. I mean, I agree with you guys. I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I know a lot of people on the internet really, really bash this movie. And I think Joe Carnahan does a good job. I think he did particularly a good job with the casting of the A-Team. I really, in particular, I really love Sharlto Copley in this movie. He's a perfect Murdoch, in my opinion, and he's not overused though. That's the thing. He comes in at certain points and he's not there a lot of the time, which a character like that could be very annoying, after an extended period of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things the movie does right. But like you said, Tommy, this is one of the this is one of the offenders of overuse of CGI where it's really unnecessary. There's a lot of bad CGI in this movie, and it's only 2.5, almost 3 years old now. So, but then again, it's just like you said, Kurt, it's kind of like a fun schlocky movie that it's, like something you can put on. turn your brain off, I guess.
It's
so you don't
mindless
really
action.
like using that. Yeah, there you go.
To me, I like to compare it to a less, and I even hate saying this, I don't think this movie's really skilled, but it's like a less skilled version of Expendables 2.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Okay,
So, what's next?
Yeah, let me move on here. I know we talked about this a little bit. Tommy and I did off the air the other night. This movie in particular that I'm about to list, I want to keep you guys in suspense here for a little bit, is one movie that I had extremely high expectations for going in. And while I don't think it's a horrible movie, it's definitely a letdown, and it's definitely not a good movie. I am talking about 2010's Tron Legacy. What are your guys' thoughts on this movie? I really want to know.
I like Tron in general, so I knew what I was going to see. It wasn't a shock to me. I had some problems with the main character.
You mean
but
Sam, his son, Kevin Flynn's son or whatever? Okay.
Yeah. I had some issues with him because I felt like his acting was really I felt his acting was kind of soft. Like, he really didn't understand the movie that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
But, Jeff Bridges totally makes up for that. And that was at the time, that there were two Jeff Bridges movies out at the same at the same time. Because he had True Grit and he had Tron. So, and, they both did really well. So that was something else too. But Tron for me, I really liked it because I knew what it was, and I was a fan of Tron as a kid, and I wanted to see a modern Tron, and I got it. I don't want to see another Tron, but to me, it was fine, I'm not going to say it's some Oscar award worthy, movie, but, it's Tron.
Neither was the
they
first
can't
one,
be anything
though,
other than that. Yeah. And if you watch Tron, the original Tron now, it doesn't hold up so well. No. But, it's just, it was fine.
Kurt, what say you?
Trash it.
Yeah, I'll kind of keep that sentiment. I actually did think that it could have garnered some Oscar love as far as visuals, but, it is a mess. It is not what I would call a great movie, but it is fun escapism. It's kind of like putting a bad script, but if you put really good visuals with it, it can make it up for a little bit. And
are we talking about Avatar?
Ooh,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
He said a bad script, not an atrociously bad script. Okay, there's a difference there.
Yeah,
it's like
there's
the script for Avatar was written by a kindergartner, and at least this movie had a little bit of intelligence to it. But that's one of the things I will have to agree here is that the script is just really, really bad in this movie. There's plot holes. There's things that don't make sense. There's inconsistencies with the characters, and don't get me wrong, I love it because the visuals are just so awesome. But at the same time, even after the game section and about like a third way through the movie after the first act, the visuals even start to wear on me a little bit. As the first one, it's still so because you understand that this wasn't done by a bunch of visual effects artists. On the original Tron, the coloring on the suits and everything in the computer world was done frame by frame. Handcrafted, painted in painstakingly, frame by frame. Now, when you think about this, you have to remember, for you listeners that are watching or listening, movies are projected at 24 frames per second, and so you multiply that by a minute, and however long however long the runtime of the movie is, and that, you can start to imagine how painstaking this work is. So I think that's one of the things that I think really stands true. That's kind of separates the original from the sequel. But to add on to that real quick, and I'll let you guys rebut or whatever you want to do. But the CGI young villain Jeff Bridges, it's just bad. It's interesting. I have to give him credit for trying. And there have to give him credit for trying.
It was like they cut. It was like they cut a picture out of Jeff Bridges when he was really young and just CGI'd it on top of someone's body.
I mean,
but
yeah. So I don't know. I just think that's one of the biggest culprits too of the unnecessary. Well, I mean, I don't know, unnecessary, but not well done CGI in the past few years. So, what are you guys' thoughts?
I agree. I don't.
I agree.
Really
okay.
Well, we covered the bases.
Yeah.
I have time for about one more. So,
all right, that's fine.
And then later, Taylor, if you all guys want to get back. I don't know what Kurt's doing. I was going to say later if you all wanted to get back together, or just me and Taylor.
I can get back on.
Either. Okay, all right. Either way, because I wanted to discuss some few things off recorded. So if we can go from there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get one more in.
All
and
right.
if you guys want to continue, feel free. Or if you want to just go ahead and sign off, and then we can do it again later. Find us a good one. Find us a real down and dirty one.
Oh man. Oh man. I got a good one for you, Tommy, because I know this one probably hurts. Because I know it hurts me as let's just say it's a video game movie. So I'm leaving the options wide open here. You guys want to take any guesses on what I have? Make it a little interesting.
Dude.
It's a video game movie from the early 90s.
Darkman?
Nope.
Not Darkman. Okay. Well, that wasn't a video game. My mistake. That was a comic book.
It can't be Doom because that was like 2000.
No.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just go ahead and say it. The cinematic gem milestone acting moment of the century, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, 1993's Street Fighter. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You hit the bottom of the...
Yes, I did.
I didn't know you were gonna pull something out this bad. You pulled the crap right from the horse's arse, my friend.
I had to keep you guys in suspense a little bit.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't even really know what to say about this movie. But it's I don't know. Go ahead, Kurt. I'll
My only sentiment about the Street Fighter film is that it actually makes the Mortal Kombat films look good.
Yes.
Now wait a minute. Now whoa. Now wait a minute. Okay. Mortal Kombat 2, you can crap on Mortal Kombat 2 all you want, but Mortal Kombat 1, come on, like that one was not as bad as Street Fighter. Street Fighter was just this. Oh.
No.
He's saying this
movie
makes those look good.
Is that Street Fighter?
Oh.
Yeah, like Street Fighter actually makes Mortal Kombat 1 look good. Like,
I thought Mortal Kombat, oh my God, Street Fighter was just so, okay, I remember when I was a little kid, and I think we're all pretty much the same age. I think we all have this kind of, we have this understanding. Okay, when I was a little kid, and I went to the arcade, there were two games going on, that everybody wanted to play. There was Street Fighter and there was Mortal Kombat. And if you couldn't get on Mortal Kombat, you're on Street Fighter. But, before Mortal Kombat, there mainly just was Street Fighter because it was the first of its real kind, other than Double Dragon, which also got a movie that we do not need to discuss. Next bad movie. Please, because we could go on for hours. But, so here I am. I think I was about 6 or 7 at the time. And here I am, and I liked Jean-Claude Van Damme when I was a kid. So I'm like, okay, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Street Fighter. What could you possibly wrong? And then they made the movie.
Everything else they did wrong.
Oh my goodness, just the not knowing. There was one point in the film where I didn't even know what was going on. I was like, what? Does anybody Does anybody know the history of Blanca? Okay, Blanca's history is that he's a Brazilian guy who lived out in the swamp and wrestled with alligators, and he somehow, he wrestled alligators or crocodiles, and he ate electric eels, and that's how he was powered. That's silly, Okay, so why not have a tournament-style fighter movie? But no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to have Bison, who's going to be this corrupt criminal, which he was in the video game, kind of. And then he's going to make Blanca, and then the fat sumo guy is going to magically turn into a sumo wrestler in the middle of the movie. Ryu and Ken, yeah, totally not Asian, both American. Sagat, that guy wasn't even Russian. Like, Van Damme, okay, we're going to get an Austrian guy to play an American GI, and then he wasn't even an American GI? What's going on? And does anybody remember Guile wearing that hat that he wore in, did that ever happen? God almighty. Was there anything else? Vega was in the movie. He wasn't even from Spain. He was from Russia. He was from fucking Russia.
I'm sorry.
And it's sad that I remember all this. It's sad that I remember all this because, God.
Hey, all I have to say is, you guys, you're gonna laugh at this, but this is a funny story. So back when I was a kid, I really like this movie actually a lot, obviously because it's, again, one of those movies that's geared towards kids that don't care about plot holes and a good script, and decent storytelling and acting for that matter. But I really love this movie.
In general, period.
Yeah, I mean, God. But so I had an interest in this movie about 5 years. And that just sounds bad. An interest in this movie. How can you have an interest in this movie? But I was curious to see how it held up. So, not knowing the trials of the internet and that you could read how bad these things are, I decided to buy the movie on DVD. So I own it. Yeah. So I return to it like every. No, it's on my shelf, but I return to it every 5 years to remind myself what a good movie is.
If you have to be, if anybody needs a religious cleansing, go home, shave every article of hair off your body, shave all your hair off completely, all of it. Take a laxative, take a cold bath, watch Street Fighter, and sleep for a day, and then you will be completely cleansed of all your sins, because you have gone through the sins and transgressions of the world if you watch that movie. I can't even, and this is a long shot, but, this is another, I can say this, but you know what? You guys are gonna laugh. But I got more enjoyment out of Troll 2 than I did out of this movie. Because Ooh. That's right. I said it. Well, a lot of people give Troll 2 this flack for being the worst movie ever. But it's way better than some movies, and that's sad, but it is.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! I can't even. There's nothing left to say.
Yeah. I don't think there is. With
that was it.
That's the funny thing with bad movies. There's only a certain amount of things you can say before you start to get your point across. But I'm really, really glad we decided to do this again because I had a really great time talking about some of these movies. There's still
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure we could still do another installment of this. Eventually, I don't know if it'll be sooner or later.
There's tons to go around.
Yeah, I still have a huge list here of stuff. So, but I think that's gonna close us out for the evening.
Well, I'm gonna go watch something more educational, like putting a gun in my mouth because that would be better.
Okay.
Go ahead. Get us out for
All right. So remember, you guys can always contact us at movienerdsmailbox@gmail.com. And just please remember, never purchase Street Fighter on DVD. So this is Taylor Salin, and signing off with me are...
Oh, and I'm Tommy Bolden, and also remember, you can subscribe up here, or here, or here, or somewhere here, or actually down below, and comments, of course, are appreciated. And Kurt, we'd like to thank you for joining us for the first time.
Thank you.
Won't be the last.
No, sir. No, sir, it will not be. And with that, we will end it. Good night, America.
Good night.
Keep it classy.
So remember, you guys can always contact us if you have questions or you want to, debate with us or talk with us in any way. You can contact us doing that at Gmail. Gosh, dang it! Hold on, let me. I fucked that up.
That Street Fighter syndrome.
I know, dude. It's like. Well, I'm gonna have to edit this thing anyways, so I'm gonna God. I'm stuck on that movie now, dude. Yeah. Jesus.